Hey, what is up, guys? It is Harrison Mann, the Millennial Entrepreneur, and in this video, we have a little bit of a sadder note. And if you are thinking about owning a business, you own a business, especially if you own a business, you definitely want to listen to this. But if you're thinking about owning a business, this video is for you. And to all of my fellow entrepreneurs, you are going to sit very comfortably with this video because this is what nobody actually talks about when they own a business. So, right off the bat, this is a business channel. I constantly make videos on digital marketing, but ultimately in this video, I want to talk to you guys about the sad truths that nobody talks about when you first start a business. So what are those truths, right? The first one is your freedom, right? When you're a business owner, you have so much freedom. The freedom to do what you want, when you want, how you want. And the world is your oyster, and it is the most beautiful thing. And I'm not demonizing business ownership. I think it's the best thing in the world. But what nobody tells you is the fact that you need to hold yourself accountable. If you're not the kind of person that could look at your time and just say, hey, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, I need to go to work, right? You're going to have a very, very hard time. It's not like anything else you do in life, right? It's not like a dinner reservation. It's not like going to the movies, hey, I got to be there at a certain time. It's not like working for somebody else where you got to punch in and make sure you're doing work and you have to be held accountable, right? When you own your own business, nobody else is paying you. You pay you. So if you're not producing income or producing value to earn income, you're never going to make money owning a business. It's the sad truth, right? There are plenty of 9-to-5 jobs where you could clock in and do the bare minimum, right? Maybe a couple hours of work a day, and you will get by, and you will earn a salary and a 401k and health benefits, right? The overwhelming majority of 9-to-5s really are, you don't have to go in and perform the top tier every single day, with the exception of sales, because you kind of have to produce your, produce income. But other than that, pretty much every other job, there is, there's accountability, right? But a lot of it is set to like a lower standard, right? It's made for you to exceed past that. But hey, this is the minimum we want you to do. When you're on your own business, it's not like that. There is no minimum threshold. There's also no maximum threshold, right? There's no, hey, if you work extra hard, you're gonna, you might make extra money. There's always that possibility, but it's never a guarantee. It's not like, oh, I'm getting overtime now because I've been working for 12 hours, right? It just doesn't exist. So if you're the kind of person that can go and wake up every morning and say, hey, you know what? It's 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what time you guys choose to start your days. I usually work till 1 or 2 in the morning, so I don't start my mornings, most mornings, till 9 or 10. But when that happens, right, you have to hold yourself accountable. There's no other way to do it, because if you don't hold yourself accountable, there is a massive amount to lose. And when I say that, like, you could lose customers, you could lose income, you could lose, opportunities on providing value, right? There's all of these different areas that really kind of suck that nobody mentions to you when you first go into business, right? Everybody thinks, hey, I'm going to start a business, I'm going to start doing this, I'm going to do this, right? And when you start a business, you don't have anybody else, right? It's the hardest thing. Some businesses, there are the exceptions out there, that they might have a partner that they could either bounce ideas off of, or, an affiliate relationship, hey, or, a symbiotic relationship. Hey, you pass me business, I'll pass you business, right? If you're a carpenter, right, maybe you work with a restoration company, right? And that restoration company hires you out for carpentry work. And if you go into a job and you realize that there's restoration work, right, you can pass that business back and forth. But the overwhelming majority of businesses are started, at least from what I've seen, because that person didn't like working for somebody else, right? So you're already terminating your strongest connection because you're now a competitor, right? And this is something that nobody ever talks about. You are alone, and you have to figure out everything, and nobody tells you how much everything costs, right? Nobody tells you how to get customers. Nobody teaches you any of this. So it's a very difficult thing to learn, especially when it comes to freedom, keeping yourself accountable. How many sales calls am I going to make today? How much content am I going to produce today? What am I going to do next today? What am I going to do tomorrow? What does my day look like? How much work do I need to do to hit my, to help my customers? Whatever it is that you have to do, right? It's very difficult. Now, if you're thinking, well, Harrison, I'm not a service-based business, I make products, right? You still have to do, you are the business. You still have to do marketing. You still have to do sales. You still have to create the product itself, right? And hope that it's good enough that it has a competitive edge in the market. These are all things that nobody ever talks about when you start a business. And it sucks. It's the worst possible feeling in the world, right? So number one is freedom, right? It's the best thing in the world, and it's the worst thing in the world. And the second thing is what I like to call the entrepreneur roller coaster. And if you've never seen the entrepreneur roller coaster, it's basically like a line graph, right? I don't know why I do it this way, but this is a line graph, right? And it just goes, it'll start off and it'll go up, and then it'll go back down, and then it'll go up, and then it'll go back down, and it'll go up, and then sometimes it goes really, really high, and then it goes really, really, really low, all the way down to almost zero, and then it's this crazy thing, but the median trajectory is usually up towards the corner. But the problem is people can't handle the downs. They can't handle that thought of being helpless, or, and I don't want to say helpless. You could always get help, but it's this mental grind of like, oh my God, nobody enjoys my content. Nobody does this. Nobody does this, right? Like, I remember when I first started this channel, I was fired up. I was riding on cloud nine. I was on that upper hill, and I was pumped. I'm like, everybody, I'm gonna make so much content. It's gonna be the best content in the world. And then nobody watched it for 10 days. It sucked. A lot. And that's life. Like, that's business. That's content creation. Sometimes you're going to put stuff out there and it's going to crush. Other times you're going to put stuff out there and it's going to be a ghost town. And the way the algorithms work, it's just wild. If you're doing your own marketing, it's just weird, right? There's all of these different things that you could not possibly, you can't even convey in one message, right? It's billing, it's working with subcontractors, it's working with your employees, maybe even your partners. It's all these different things. And when things are great, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? And then something happens, whether it's you're not getting new clients or you lost a client or something like that. It starts going this downhill, and it is the worst. It gives you this pit in your stomach. You can't sleep. It's awful, right? But there's no way to explain this to somebody. And nobody ever tells you, like, hey, this is the hardship that you're going to go through, so get ready, right? Who would do that? Nobody would start a business because it would terrify the heck out of everybody. I encourage everybody to start a business. I think it's the best thing in the world. And it gives you such a better perspective. You learn so much about yourself. You learn so much about other people. You learn so much about sales and marketing and business and profit loss statements and dealing with other people, and if that fits you, manufacturers, right? There's all of these different little areas in there that are phenomenal and suck at the same time, right? But that's the best part. And I think a lot of people, when it comes to business, they forget the most important thing. And it goes back to the freedom, and it goes back to this entrepreneur roller coaster. And that's enjoying the process. And that's ultimately what this whole video is about, is enjoying the process of starting and owning your own business. It is wild. It is painful. It'll require you to work the longest days you've ever worked and wake up in the morning and God knows whatever else you got to do. But if you actually sit down and you say, hey, I'm going to enjoy the ride, it's the best feeling in the world. Because when you first start, you're like grinding. And that's the best, right? You're like, oh, I work 12 hours today. I'm going to work 12 hours tomorrow. Maybe I'm going to work 14 the next day. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to go out on the weekends because I want to work, right? I'm going to sacrifice all my freedom so I can just grind and build this business. But you lose sight of the journey. And the journey is the best part, no matter what business you're in, right? It doesn't matter if you don't love your business, right? The journey is the best part because you're hiring people. You're building this business, right? And then at some point or another, you get to hand the keys over of the castle to somebody else, right? Maybe it's your director of marketing. Maybe it's your director of sales. Maybe it's your director of HR, right? Maybe it's your, financial advisor, or your payroll person, or whomever it is, right? Every step along the way, you get to hand off for the most part. And that's the best part, because at that time, you really get to enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? You're paying all of these people. You now have a successful business, right? And you've built it. You've built this whole thing. And then I don't want to say you want to go on cruise control, but it just gets more fun. It doesn't get easier. None of it ever gets easier. But it gets more fun because you could focus on what you want to do. You've handed the keys off to other people, right? You still got to watch over them, right? But you don't have to do the laborious task of writing paychecks, of doing your accounting, of making sure you're hitting your sales goals, staying, you're going to have to check in with those people on a regular basis, but you're not going to have to spend all of your time doing it yourself. And that is the massive part. It's all about enjoying the journey. And I wish somebody told me this before I started a business. And I'm not saying I wouldn't have started a business, but I would have had way more clarity on my business. I would have had I wouldn't have been in such a rush, right? I rushed so much of it, and I'm proud of what I built so far, but the journey is the best thing in the world. And that's it. That's all I got for you today. I was feeling it. I love you guys. If you guys enjoyed that, hit that like button. Consider leaving a comment. Leave me a comment on what you think is the best and worst part of the business. I would love to hear it. And other than that, if you really like this content, hit subscribe. I'm going to keep bringing it back to you. And that's my timer to go. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.